is a non-profit, non-partisan organization that protects and defends the U.S. Constitution and Bill of Rights. And you've heard from the previous speakers debunking really quite a lot of the myths about immigrants. They're not here to come here specifically to get work here. They're here to work, to take care of their families. They leave their countries of origin because of real dire circumstances, economic circumstances, some for religious freedom, and other circumstances, because this is a land that has always been a country for immigrants, that's built by immigrants, and has been etched on the Statue of Liberty, where everyone can come and get refuge. And many times when we're in a situation of talking about immigrants and immigrant rights, I feel like we may need to sandblast the words etched by Emma Lazarus, you know, on the Statue of Liberty that says bring everyone here. And I think that those who come before us, now third and fourth generation, have truly forgotten who were here originally and who have had to build this country. And every time I hear Jackie's story, I'm extremely saddened because, as I say, there for the sake of God goes high. As you can tell from my accent, I'm not originally from the U.S., I'm from Jamaica. My mother came in '67, and the only way she could come, regardless of what her profession was in Jamaica, was as a domestic. And she came on contract with the understanding that she would, the people who brought her here would file for her after a year so that she could become a permanent legal resident. When she came, what they promised is not what they did. They worked her longer hours than she expected, doing living in circumstances in their basement, in New Hampshire, in winter, that was inhabitable for humans. But she stayed there, and eventually she left because it was just a horrible circumstances for her. She eventually returned to them with the understanding that they would fulfill their agreement, which is to file for her. And subsequently, 2 years later, in 1969, I joined her in the U.S. But you're talking about separation on the front end, in some cases, and you're talking about lots of many years of separation on this end from your family members once you're here on American soil, separation from your family members at home, where family members die, you know, etc., are sick, and you can't see them, you can't get a chance to visit with them, and that's a horrible thing for anyone to have to live through. Now, the ACLU, we're very excited. We're pleased that we are at this point where we are making, beginning to talk about real reform. And the pendulum swings. Every 10, 20 to 30 years, you know, we talk in between about we need to make some changes. Finally, we get to a point. We're finally there right now where we see changes, real changes about to occur. But we still have some real concerns. And some of the concerns you've already heard. One of the concerns having to do with the border enforcement measures being a trigger for legalization. As you've heard already, Elizabeth talked about that more money is being put into the border to keep it less porous than we've ever seen in the past, say, 4, 5, 10 years, 6 or more years. More money. The border is safer than it's ever been, ever, in the history of this country. So that should not be a trend. So that's one of our concerns. The other concern that we have has to do with the whole idea of a person's criminal record. One of the things that we very well know is that individuals, by the circumstances of being undocumented and the life that individuals have to lead, including in the shadows, that they're being criminalized. You know, Jackie's father, who was stopped for driving without a license, becomes criminalized. So when we decided to make it possible for the 11+ million individuals to become legal permanent residents of this country and a path to legalization, her father could be one of those individuals who would not be able to get it just because of that driver's license situation. And I say that because in Florida, specifically, driving without a license 3 times qualifies as a felony. So
say that one more time.
If you drive without a license 3 times, stop 3 times.
If you get caught.
You get, yes, it's a felony. Okay? So strike 1 already for her father. You know, if he gets stopped 2 other times, you know, under the current reform that's being proposed, but especially in the Florida laws, he will never have a chance to become a permanent legal resident because he's pushing it in the category of being a felon. That shouldn't be happening. In 1996, someone mentioned that, and I think it was you, Elizabeth, 1996, among the changes that were made was they took away the discretionary powers of the judges. So that means that when someone like Jackie's father, as an example, or any one of the 11 million individuals appear in front commit a crime, the judge normally will make a decision, how long has this person been here? Is it the first offense? Are they good citizens? Are they doing the right thing? Now, one of the things that we want to see is the judges being able to get that discretionary power. So they could make a decision on a case-by-case basis, and it's not a one-size-fits-all when it comes to individuals being considered a felon and not being able to eventually qualify. We want all immigrant detainees should receive a prompt bond hearing before a neutral adjudicator. What we are finding is that individuals are waiting years, months and years before they're able to have their day in court or be able to get a bond. That's not fair. They should be able to be back in their homes, back in their communities, back with their families. We also feel the issue of the minors that you heard about, the children of undocumented immigrants. That's a real concern. But we're also very concerned about the more vulnerable among that group, which includes individuals with a mental disability, who should not be a one-size-fits-all, where they too are being affected, and we are treating them as we are doing in this lumping them all into the same group. Immigration reform must end local and state law enforcement involvement in immigration policy and ban racial profiling. What's been happening is that with the secure communities and 288G, where local law enforcement are deputized as ICE agents, where they're stopping individuals, checking their records, asking for information, and then contacting ICE, holding them for ICE, and then these individuals subsequently being pushed into the deportation pipeline should not be happening. That's a clear violation of the rights. And if it happened to American citizens, we would have had legal protections. This particular group is made vulnerable because of that. Kelly mentioned the situation of E-Verify, and I think Elizabeth, you mentioned that as well. We are concerned about E-Verify because we know that it is error-prone. I know it's touted as a thing that employers need to do and check a person's status before hiring them, but there are real errors being made. And when you're talking about 1.2 million individuals being affected, those are individuals often who are legitimately able to work, and because of some error with either a number a wrong number or transposing, by the way, the error oftentimes on the front end through DHS, they are making an error inputting the information, and individual is denied the opportunity to work, and many times these are individuals who are legitimately able to work. And finally, we want to make sure that all individuals who are eligible, all individuals do have an opportunity to become legal and get in that path of legalization, and that includes LGBT families. And that's a population that is not taken into consideration. We also want to make sure that with a diversity category that we are including Haitians. They are a forgotten group. Individuals from, certain individuals from the Caribbean and Africa continent are being excluded in terms of the quota that's allowed annually, and the country of origin is also affecting that particular group, and that's another group, that clearly needs that opportunity also to be in a path of legalization. So we are excited that again that we have come up with this. It's bipartisan, we have come up with this. We've gotten further